The topic of this special preparation for the lesson is on the subject of if I'm not for me, who is for me. We have his gift now to direct our hearts into a single direction, into a single goal where we can receive help from the Creator. Let's start with him now and ask to increase the feeling of responsibility towards one another. Let's feel responsibility towards the Creator as the power of correction and power of connection is our mutual inclusion. So let's build this common vessel between us right now in this preparation, in this lesson all together, and third to him with our common heart. Rabash writes in article number 6, 1991, what is the herdsman of Abraham's cattle and the herdsman of Lot's cattle? In the work, it's not for you to finish the work. This implies that it's not within man's hands, but rather as it's written, the Lord will finish for me. This means that it's not within man's ability to obtain the desire to bestow. However, there are two matters here. Firstly, a person must say, if I'm not for me, who is for me? Hence, he should not be alarmed by the fact that he has not been rewarded with obtaining the desire to bestow, although, in his opinion, he has made great efforts. Nonetheless, he should believe that the Creator waits until he reveals what he must do. Secondly, afterwards, the Creator will finish for him, meaning that at that time, he will receive what he wants at once. As it's written, the salvation of the Lord is as the blink of an eye. And now let's enter a silent workshop. How can I reveal what the Creator wants me to do now? How can I reveal what the Creator wants me to do now? Okay, friends, I've just got enough time to stop, I think. But all of the friends, so that all of us know what we need to do. Okay. I excerpt number 2. Rabash article, what are Torah and work? With regard to the Creator, we can speak of Torah since work pertains specifically to the created beings. Work applies only to the created beings. Hence we speak of work. It means that we learn from one should do. In that state a person should say, if not if I'm not for me, who is for me? Afterward we should extend the quality of Torah on this work regarded as what the Creator does. That is, we must extend the discernment of private providence, and we must not say my strength and the might of my hand has gotten me this riches of the Torah being court. One more time the excerpt number 2, Warsh article, what are Torah and work? With regard to the Creator, we can speak of Torah since work pertains specifically to the created beings. Work applies only to the created beings. Hence, when we speak of work, it means that we learn what one should do in that state. A person should say, if I'm not for me, who is for me? Afterward, we should extend the quality of Torah on this work regarded as what the Creator does. That is, we must extend the discernment of private providence, and we must not say my strength and the might of my hand has gotten me these riches. This is the meaning of the Torah being called the names of the Creator, meaning that the Creator does everything. And now, friends, have active workshop. Share your thoughts. What does the Creator want us to do in this lesson, which really wants what he always wants? States 1, 2, and 3. He wants us to resemble him in his quality, that we will come closer to him, that we will be like him. The Creator wants us to be with an open heart towards the friend as much as possible, and from that open heart, we'll also perceive him connection with him. Yes, in that connection we bring him contentment like children who want to be closer to their Father. So they connect and they do all kinds of actions that their Father asks them to. They do it as this game, but afterward they reveal that it gradually brought them closer together and to the correct prayer. Yes, ultimately, he wants to bring us to. A prayer for us to be able to turn to him. But the prayer needs to belong to all of us, needs to come from all of us as one man in one heart. And we want to be like him through these efforts to be and bestow. In this lesson, the Creator brought us friends who are in our vicinity and who are around us and in front of us. He wants us to connect with those friends. Another note to let our teachers influence us so that we can alter them and become enveloped in what they want to bring us. Yes, the Creator wants us to discover him, so he probably wants us to make some kind of effort to search to attribute everything to him, to see how he operates through their friends wants to meet us, and here he has succeeded already. Where else can we rise? Let's connect and give him contentment. Silent workshop. We are entering the lesson in gratitude that the Creator has gathered us here together to do his work. Hallelujah. Shalom. All me. Hello friends, today we will start the lesson by reviewing the third lesson from the convention that we had. Its topic was If I'm Not For Me, Who Is For Me? And the date of the lesson was the 23rd of May. Now let's watch the convention. Lesson number 3. If I'm not for me, who is for me? Nothing. And again the topic of our lesson is if I'm not for me, who is for me? If I'm not for me, who is for me? It's a well-known phrase. It's short and people remember it. If I'm not for me, who is for me? It's actually a question. If I'm not myself, who will help me? And in that, many people fall because they don't know for whom it is organized and how it is organized. If I am not for me, if a person thinks about how does he reach the purpose of life, the purpose of creation, what will happen to him? Who does he depend on then? He should be asking this question: if I'm not for me, who is for me? This means that it's only with my own power and the might of my hand I reached this success. This is how we should be asking, and from this question to move on. If I'm not for me, then who will help me? And we answer that in a connection between us. That if I'm not for me, then indeed who will help me, who will direct me, who will be my partner on my path? Yeah, any, Millie. Here we've returned to Oren reading the article letter number 16. I've already said in the name of Balsham that prior to making a mitzvah, one must not consider private providence at all. On the contrary, one should say, if I am not for me, who is for me? But after the fact, one must reconsider and believe that it was not by my power and the might of my hand that I did the mitzvah, but only by the power of the Creator who contemplated so about me in advance, and so I had to do. It is likewise in worldly matters, because spirituality and corporality are equal. Therefore, before one goes out to make one's daily bread, he should remove his thoughts from private providence and say, if I am not for me, who is? He should do all the tactics applied in corporality to earn his living as do others. But in the evening when he returns home with his earnings, he must never think that he has earned this profit by his own innovations. Rather, even if he stayed all day in the basement of his home, he would still have earned his pay. For so the Creator contemplated for him in advance, and so it had to be. Although the matters look the contrary on the surface and are unreasonable, one must believe that so the Creator has determined for him in his law from authors and from books. This is the meaning of the unification of Haver Elim God. Haver means private providence, where the Creator is everything, and he does not need dwellers of material houses to help him. Kim in Gematria is heart of the nature where man behaves according to the nature that he instilled in the systems of the corporeal heaven and earth. Until here, I'm saying again that we're going to listen to the third lesson of the Congress. It's a lesson on there is if I am not for me, who is for me, and the date of the lesson is the 23rd of Know Nothing. And again the topic of our lesson is if I am not for me, who is for me? If I'm not for me, who is for me? Wow, it's a well-known phrase. It's short and people remember it. If I'm not for me, who is for me? It's actually a question. If I'm not myself, who will help me? And in that, many people fall because they don't know for whom it is organized and how it is organized. If I am not for me. If a person thinks about how does he reach the purpose of life, the purpose of creation, what will happen to him, who does he depend on, then he should be asking this question. If I am not for me, who is for me? This means that it's only with my own power and the might of my hand I reached this success. And this is how we should be asking, and from this question to move on. If I'm not for me, then who will help me? And we answer that in the connection between us, that if I'm not for me, then indeed who will help me? Who will direct me? Who will be my partner on my path? And so it turns out we don't quite know how to answer that. And this is why it's worthwhile for us to reach the depth of this question, because usually we feel at this question, but we don't quite understand who needs to answer it. And then a person is in a state where he doesn't have a clear answer. He doesn't have the tan. He doesn't have a clear state. And so he walks on the path, and bit by bit, gradually, he is an alt. Writes about that, about his question of if I'm not for me, who is for me, except one. I've already said in the name of the Bamto that prior to making a mitzvah commandment, one must not consider private providence at all. On the contrary, one should say, if I'm not for me, who is for me? But after the fact, one must reconsider and believe that it was not by my power and the might of my hand that I did the mitzvah, but only by the power of the Creator, who contemplated so about me in advance, and so I had to do. It is likewise in worldly matters. The orders of the matters is the issues of our corporeal world, because spirituality and corporeality are equivalent. Therefore, before one goes to make one's daily bread, he should remove his thoughts from private providence and say, if I'm not for me, who is for me? But in the evening, when he returns home with his earnings, he must never think that he has earned this profit by his own innovations. Rather, even if he stayed all day in the basement of his home, he would still have earned his pay. For so the Creator contemplated for him in advance, and therefore so it had to be. So far, do we have any questions? I only see one man and one lady. Well, okay. Let's see. Yes, there was somebody here. We learned that prior to doing a mitzvah, a person needs to direct his intention toward the Creator. But here, he writes that a person doesn't have to believe. So how does that go together? Meaning that he has to do it by his own effort. The person should see what he has ahead of him in order to reach. There is none else besides him, and only after he reaches that he should bring up his questions to the Creator and be certain that he will receive answers. So only when a person discovers that there's none else besides him, that question of if not I for myself, then who is for me awakens in him. Yes, and before that you have no one to turn to. Thank you. Question from Mark 37. It says, if I am not for me, then who is for me? Then it actually who is for me speaks about the Creator. Yes, thank you. When do we put the intention of if not I for myself, then who is at all with these questions of if I'm not for me, who is for me? We turn to the Creator and we demand from him that he will fill the question for us, and from that we will know how to advance onward. Thank you. Yes, if the Creator does everything and there's none else besides him, what is my free choice then at this Congress? Not only in the Congress, but in general in our whole life, our Choice is in if I'm not for me, who is for me. That we need to make a choice in. That we don't chase after all kinds of causes, reasons, spiritual or corporeal, but rather, if we want to find precisely the secret of life, then we should ask correctly, if I'm not for me, who is for me? The first restriction. It is actually a restriction over the fourth phase that pulls all the created being to perform the act of if I'm not for me, who is for me? It is like an awakening from the Creator. There's none else besides Him. He awakens us from the start. Yes. So after if I'm not for me, then who is? That's like the second restriction we need to anal ourselves towards. Besides Him. No, we must always know before there's none else besides Him, and continue with all the questions and the conditions that awaken for us along the way. But it has nothing to do with we need to continue with none else besides Him. Yes, certainly. More questions. Oh, does somebody there? Ladies, if I'm not for me, then who's that? That's clear. On the other hand, there's states of sometimes sit and do nothing better, and all of a sudden I find myself thinking, how do I decide? Is there? It's like a contradiction in terms their situation, which a person has no idea. Is it better for him not to do? Or sometimes there are states where he understands that if I'm not for me, then who is, meaning no one else will do it for me, it's my responsibility. Yes, we have to reach this question of if I'm not for me, who is for me? And the answer, in a state where the question will be standing before us in a most conspicuous manner, and then through our efforts, that we want to understand, to whom do I turn? How do I turn? I need to think, what does it mean if I'm not for me, who is for me? So who is it? The Creator. Who else exists in reality? And, therefore, we operate, especially in a gathering like now, when we have so many of our friends who are all participating, and so we ourselves turn from our heart, and this is how we intend that we will reach an answer. The answer is the revelation of the Creator. Always all of our answers that we look forward to are only the revelation of the Creator to the created beings. So I understand I performed the scrutiny inside myself and did not turn to the Creator. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Is it possible to precede the Creator's action? Suppose that the Creator puts pressure on me, I immediately run to the 10. Do something. I want to increase the importance of the goal in the Creator. But if there's no pressure and everything is calm, how to find the strength to precede His action, because the next stage or the next action is His pressure. As I understand, is it possible to 100% precede the Creator's pressure? We are not operating in an empty space, but rather out of the 10. And here now you have all over the world thousands of 10s. If we direct ourselves more or less in a single direction towards a single goal, to receive help from the Creator in order to reach the only good, correct, beautiful outcome, then there's no one who can hinder. But it's only our attention that will help us to reach that. Thank you, Rob. When I work in the tan, and I see the efforts the friends are making, it gives strength. How do I look? How do I look at it? Do I say, they're working in if I'm not for me? Then who is? Or it's the Creator, none else besides Him, that has given me the strength, and I need to be inspired by it to do the work in the 10, meaning to bestow in connection between friends who are in the 10, and in such a way we need to exert to do. When the friends are making this effort, they're working out of, or how do I look at it? How do I look at the effort that they're making? Yes, they are operating out of if I'm not for myself, who is for me? Otherwise, for what reason are they exerting? He writes that at the end of the day he has to say that there's none else besides him, that he did everything. It was private providence. Yes. What happens with him throughout the day? During the day, if he divides the day to some parts, then at the end of every part, he should also give an answer to what he has reached, what kind of connection with the Creator. On the one hand, we learn that a person, in every given moment, needs to be in none else besides him to look for the Creator all the time. Yes. On the other hand, a person take it upon himself and say, no, there's no private providence. But only at the end of the day will I tell myself, right, there was private providence here, and there like two contradicting instructions here. In the beginning of the day, you need to say that everything is ahead of you. Everything depends on you. And this is how you go out to the battlefield. Your battlefield with the force that is opposite to you. And at the end of the day, you need to accept it that you received it all from the Creator. That's at the end of the day. But during in the battle itself, like you're saying, I'm in the battlefield, right? So I take it upon myself. I say I have to be the one doing everything by the might of my hand. Where's the Creator? Here. Why don't I bring him into the picture already? Now why only at the end of the day the Creator is above you? The Creator is above you, and you need to direct him. Even you need to be directed even more, together with him, to the purpose of the work, to the general connection. It sounds like I need to reject the Creator and tell them, look, I'll do it. Move aside. There's no private providence, let's say. So this is how he's saying it, but in a more poetic manner. But in truth we should say that if I'm not for me, who is for me? So where's the balance between if I'm not for me, who is, and none else besides him? If I'm not for me, who is for a meaning after I decided that I can succeed only on the condition that I will make the choice, and therefore when I go out to the battlefield to speak with the Creator, I need to say that there is none else besides him, and the Creator does everything, and the fact that he gave me by his will, that he allowed me by his will to enter this struggle between the Kadusha sanctity and the Sitra, the other side. He did so because he wants to let me advance. We need to have somebody standing there who won't let especially the ladies who just come in and pass through the entire hall look for someone. That's not good. So, please put cards there. Okay. All right. Yes. Owen. To continue the scrutiny, Ralph began the lesson by saying that a person needs to ask himself, if not I for myself, then who is if I won't help, if I won't help me? Speak so everybody hears you. At the beginning of the lesson, Ralph said that if I'm not for myself, then who is, means that I need to ask myself, if I don't help myself, if I don't exert, who will help me? Meaning that I must do the work. I must put in the effort. Yes, my effort is to discover that there's none else besides him. So actually in my entire work there's no point in confusing myself with that someone will do something, because if I don't make the effort I'll get nothing, I'll achieve nothing in life. Yes. So if not I, if I'm not for myself, then who is? This is the principle of the work till the end of the path. I must never come down from at. So when we say that at the end of the day, at the end of the exertion, that you need to say that the Creator did it, etc., etc., what does that add? This speaks about the result that even if I want to reach something during the whole day through, if I'm not for me, who is for me? At the end of the day I have to agree with private providence. That is what that I nevertheless discover. I have discovered that only the Creator constantly scrutinizes with respect to me all of the causes. Okay. At the beginning of the lesson, I heard you say that about the question, if not I for myself, then who is? We answer it by the connection between us, through the connection between us. Let's say so. So what does it mean? That means that if I'm not for me, who is for me? This is the question that pushes me to connection, truly face to face with my friends, with those who also are searching just like me for the Creator. And then out of that, we reached the correct solution. In this Congress, we have an opportunity. What's this movement, this act of if not? I for myself the new is that's required of each and every one of us at this Congress. What's the right way to do it? What do we need to do? According to the condition that Kabbalists have written for us, if I am not for me, who is for me? This is how the person should approach the solution. The correct solution. That's it. One more thing. You said that the person goes out into the battlefield to talk to the Creator. What does it mean? This is what we read in the articles. But a person can turn to the Creator and ask of Him. And this is how he'll find his way. We have many questions from the congresses around the world. So we have many questions from the congresses around the world. Let's start with Santiago, please. World. Clean if everything's predetermined, then what is the exertion that is upon us to do, and who am I who needs to do the work? Everything is predetermined, and then what is the exertion that we must do? And who is the I who makes the effort? If I'm not for me, who is for me? Speaks about what a person should do after he attains the purpose of creation. This is what the Creator has established. Before him is everything predetermined. No, the person must not say that this is. It is so because seemingly he's deceiving himself and the Creator. Hungary. Please, who is hungry for us? It's the European Congress. There are about 500. Friends, there is our biggest Congress around the world. Hungry, please. Go ahead, ask friends. Good morning, morning. I bring none else besides him. And if I am not for me, who is for me in unity? How can I say so? How can you connect it to if I'm not for me? Who is for me? And there is none else besides him. But try that it will be connected. If I'm not for me, who is for me? And if I'm not for myself, who is for me? Who else? And if not now, then when? These are all questions the person needs to scrutinize in that status that he feels that he is standing opposite the Creator. This is the state that the Creator has brought him to, has opened up before him. And out of this opening a person can ask, okay, next question. Kazakhstan. Please, go ahead. Thank you, dear Rob. We have 2 questions. I feel allow. We have a question for men and from women. It's not I for myself, and who is this I can do because I feel that no one else will do it in misstead and none else besides him. I make the effort from the strength that I get from him to do it. But after I did the work, to agree that there was no effort made by me whatsoever, but it all came from the Creator. This is something that I cannot agree with. So what am I supposed to do with my previous feelings where I felt that I'm the one who did it? I mean, I can't forget about it. So how do I connect? How do these things, 2 things, go together? And what should be the right result of the connection of the 2? You're right. Each one of us faces this dilemma, and each one must try to resolve it for himself. He said that there's one more question from a woman, please. Thank you, dear Rob. All the effort that we make in order to reach the goal, all the work that we do in the group, all the strength that we take from the group, eventually a person comes to that. Everything that he does is only in order for these efforts to be annulled for the Creator, that he'll have all these efforts in order to have what to give to the Creator. Eventually, let's say, so is a person capable of holding the intention inside the action. We don't need to speak now about what a person is capable of or not capable of. After it will become clear to us who we are, out of that we will truly be able to make such a judgment. Next question, please. We have 2 questions. It said that even if a person sees a contradiction that he cannot accept, nonetheless, every person needs to believe that the Creator thought about all of it in advance, is justifying the Creator and everything considered to be a mitzvah precept. Please repeat without the excerpt. Just a question is justifying the Creator and everything considered a mitzvah. Justifying the Creator for everything considered the mitzvah one needs to do. Nope. No. No. We have a lower. If I'm not for me, who is for me? And with respect to the Creator, when we perceive Him, we discover Him. There is none else besides Him. With respect to their friends, we also learn that we have no disruptions in connecting between us and all of our corrections. It's only in the opposite in the connection between us. Well, we will learn more about it. Even in this Congress, we have additional topics about that, please. Hello, everyone. Dear Rob, we have 2 questions. Both a question for me and also from our new students. The question is, many times I heard from you and from the friends that we're not really revealing none else besides sin, but we only talk about it. I also heard from you that the true examination of whether I'm revealing none else besides Him is in that I discover that there's nothing besides the friends, like Rabash writes. The question is, what's the difference between knowing that there's none else besides Him and simply talking about it and really feeling it? No. Well, this is the difference. The difference is between how it seems to you that you can determine in the world that there is none else besides Him versus a state where you see that it is truly so, even against your will. Next question, but still, if it seems to me that I'm fulfilling whatever is necessary, how can I be sure that this is the truth and it's not my ego that's deceiving me? Again, please, Sonia. If it seems then that he's discovering that there's none else besides him, how can he know that it's a real revelation and it's not the ego that's deceiving him? He should ask the Creator to show him that where he is when where there is the true answer about there's none else besides him. Please, congresses around the world, when you get the opportunity to ask, please be ready to ask immediately. For deal. I agree with what you said. Oh, what did she say? Because the translators couldn't hear her. She's asking when I'm scrutinizing that there is none else besides him. Should I reach a clear answer or only to establish my question? Is there is none else besides him, or there's none else besides him, and this is enough? I think that we have no choice because we are created beings and therefore we have to keep going only in order to discover that there is none else besides the Creator. And when we reach that, then it will be possible for us to check. Let's go to Turkey. Turkey, please go. No, I have a Turkey. Please go. A head state of there is none else besides him. It's such a high sublime state that it seems to me that I don't deserve reaching such a thing. How can I reach the attainment of there is none else besides him? This state of there is none else besides him. It seems to me so lofty, so high, something that I cannot reach. So, how can I direct myself to it? Is something that I can explore and come to, because none else besides him is working on me. I'm talking about how I am under his influence, and as I choose, as I scrutinize, how does the Creator influence me? Turns out that there's none else besides him. There's only the Creator. Italia. Next Congress in Italy. Italy, please. Hello and good morning, everyone. When we delve into this question, if I'm not for me, who is for me? At a certain point, we reach the answer that only he is for me, and it seems that the whole of reality was created for me. But if so, I'm also for the Creator. So the question is, how do I continue from that point? How do I continue from that point when I discover that I'm also for the Creator? How do I continue doing it for the Creator? Oh, did you understand? No. Moshe, the question is complicated. Can you give it to us in one sentence? The moment I discovered the whole of Reality was created for the Creator and I'm also there for the Creator. What should I do on that point? Again, when I discover that the whole of reality was created for the Creator and I too was created for the Creator, what should I do from this point, from this revelation onward, to do all the different actions from myself? Shalom. Today's lesson is on the subject of continuing the Congress in Ascent. We will read excerpts from the sources starting with excerpt number 2. You can find all of our texts on Kabbalah Info as well as through the Arvid platform where you can send us questions live. So the subject for today's lesson is continuing the Congress in Ascent. Excerpt number 2 says, in every beginning, a person must start over the acceptance of the kingdom of heaven. It is not enough that yesterday he had faith in the Creator. For this reason, every acceptance of the kingdom of heaven is considered a new discernment. That is now he receives a part of the vacant space that was devoid of the kingdom of heaven and admits that empty place and fills it with the kingdom of heaven. It follows that now he has sorted out a new thing which did not exist before he took that empty place and filled it with the kingdom of heaven. This is regarded as elevating a new spark into holiness. Finally, from all the ascents he always raises sparks from the empty space into holiness. It follows that from each and every descent he comes to a new beginning, raising new sparks, meaning that without the feeling of a descent, we cannot begin a new ascent. And feeling the descent as really a descent is necessary in order that, afterward, one can depict oneself as being in an ascent. Therefore, the whole path is of ascents and descents. That is how they need to be, and in as much speed as possible that we go through them. So then the person progresses more, meaning that a person needs to be concerned that all the questions, all the descents, should as quickly as possible invert into ascents. How to switch a descent with an ascent, or how to invert a descent into an ascent. What does it mean? Person needs to do that. Depends on his effort. Descent means that he descends from connection with the Creator, and an ascent means that he comes closer to that. So we need to constantly think how we can not descend, but rise, and by doing so we switch descents to ascend. Yes. So there is a new desire that awakens now in the person. He discovers that this disconnects him from the Creator, that he's not in contact with the Creator anymore, and now he wants to do the work. He wants to renew the connection with the Creator. Let's put it that way. Yes. So what should the person do? How do I renew the connection with the Creator? Is it only through thought? Should I accept it as a kind of awakening that pushes me to connect to the Creator? Is there any action to be taken there? That's what I'm trying to understand. Is there any action you take in order to renew the connection with the Creator? Can you start thinking about how it is in connection with the Creator compared to your current state? And this thought that came up by which I discovered that I'm disconnected from the Creator. Yes, it becomes like a platform for connecting with the Creator. It's not important unto itself, right? Yes, it's important. Why not? It's important like some kind of jumping instrument or machine where you start rising. I'll give you an example. I want to see if I understand. So let's say some thought awakens in me which is completely unrelated to the path. I feel something of this world. I'm completely thrown into this world. Completely means that you have no thought or feeling from anything that belongs to the ascent. Yes, let's say this is the current situation, and then a moment after I remember, it doesn't matter why, because of the friends and such like I remember that I want to re-establish the connection with the ring of disconnection. I use it as a kind of I was disconnected from the Creator. Let's now connect to Him. That could be the case. And how do I renew that connection? What do I need to do? I need to think about Him, pray to Him, thank Him. What exactly do I do at that moment? Something of that which you said. Something that relates to assent. Thank you. Is that all? Yes. Good morning. What will serve us as fuel in a state of dissent? In a state of assent, we have only an opportunity to direct ourselves in any case to the Creator who disappeared, who became distant, who is unfelt in us. And that is the time that we can gather all the vessels of ours empty and distant from the connection with the Creator. Then we can begin to ask and to pray and accordingly return to connection. Thank you. Yes. So you say that in a state of dissent we can only aim ourselves at the Creator who's vanishing. He's growing distant. So it's not really a dissent then. We call that a dissent in relation to the previous state. That is how we can feel it. That we are distant from the Creator. That it's hard for us to find words, a language, how to turn to Him. And then when we in any case turn to Him, we are then rewarded with His closeness. So how to define a dissent as a gradual distancing from the Creator is gradual distancing. When I feel that the Creator is distancing Himself from me, or rather I'm growing more distant to Him. What is my work? Then you have the opportunity to act in assent. What does the ideal dissent look like? What dissent is distancing. That person loses something, meaning beforehand he was relatively in an assent and now he feels that he is truly far from the Creator. How do you get closer to the Creator? Again we ask, that is called praying. Another question. How can we use this sensation of euphoria that comes about after a congress? What's left of it in order to advance? During the congress, we had a certain closeness with the Creator because we applied efforts from our connection, all of us, and we were rewarded somewhat. Yes, and from the Creator's closeness toward us, we can now do more actions. We can continue just not to descend, but to continue more actions in order to rise more and more, to continue to extend what? Actions, closeness with the Creator. Thank you. Yes. Writes that each time a person begins to accept the burden of the kingdom of heaven, he raises new sparks. Yes. What are those sparks? Those are rashomot, or records that a person needs to implement in order to come closer to the Creator in practice. Okay. Yes. How to make sure, or how to use the descent so that after that I rise in holiness higher than I was prior to the descent. That is a question from that in which we still do not know exactly how to measure spiritual states as sense and descent. It's thus hard to say, but in any case a person should try to measure each ascent and descent so that they will all be on the path that returns them to spirituality. Thank you. I have another question. Well, can a person feel before entering Lishma? Can he feel that, oh, I'm about to enter Lishma? Or does it come in a way where a person is distracted and he doesn't know exactly where he is, if he's getting close? In any case, he needs to still measure in relation to what he has an ascent, in relation to what he has a descent, what vessels he uses. Now he needs to try to measure his state as much as it is in an as alert, aware state as possible. No, thank you. Daddy, do you want to say something? Or not? It seems like a sense a kind of this kind of mechanism where a person looks at his past and accordingly decides if he's in an ascent or a descent, or with respect to the future he can decide, or if he looks at the friends he can buy, that decide if he's in an ascent or a descent. meaning a person with his thoughts, and he sees there are states. The question is how to use this mechanism, how to rise above the different states, how to view it not through the lens of what I feel, what I think, but from a higher place, how to rise above those states and understand that there is a system here that you're playing in, living in. I don't know. Use the descents in order to come to a sense that more realistic. It appears that not only it's not only the rhythm, there's also power, intensity, and the power always has to be greater. We're not impressed by yesterday's descent anymore. So how to prepare ourselves? Two states of greater essence and greater descents than we've come to before. How to prepare? It all depends on a person how he feels. Measures relates to his states. How to prepare? That depends on his attitude. How he measures what he is in a sense, in descents, in an order of times, in actions, and each time to try to measure his state as a new thing in closeness with the Creator. Another little thing, how can you use the environment so that it gives you a kind of cushion, a kind of security insurance that it can envelop you in such states. How to use the environment. You said it correctly. My question is, what actions should I take towards the environment so that then I can tell for sure that they're behind me? What's most important is annulment, self-annulment, and in cooperation with friends, and measuring each one as important, and that he will want to be together with them, above himself as he was a moment ago, and accordingly to continue. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, love. You gave us a piece of practical advice. In order to go through the different states as fast as possible, we need to think constantly about what it means to be in contact with the Creator. So what is that thought? How to be in contact with the Creator? It is that I'm on the path, that my efforts and steps toward the Creator, that I'm coming closer to Him. And how is that expressed? In our work in the 10, how should I act upon it? Ultimately, the Creator arranged my connection with the friends, so how to take these states as fast as possible, together with the friends, and not allow ourselves to enter a descent, but to constantly go forward. We're saying that we need to grow stronger and advance, and we received some very special force this Congress, and we don't want to put it off to one side. We want to continue with it. So you have material that you read together, that you discuss together with, that try to take steps accordingly, another step somewhat, and accordingly you'll come closer. Last question. What kind of picture should we paint to ourselves in the connection with the 10, which will be the closest connection with the Creator? What kind of image do we imagine to paint there, where we know that we're always getting closer? Closeness with the Creator means it's in the state when you are in a distancing, in a descent, when you lose some connection, let's say with your friends, that you in such states find forces inside yourself for ascent. How important is our collective prayer in the tent? Certainly prayer is what is most beneficial. If it's a prayer for the 10 that went through a certain fall, a certain distancing, then that is very beneficial. I'm not saying that my 10 is now falling. I want to advance. I don't want to wait for the fall. I want to continue with that power. What kind of prayer should we establish? Should we form in order to continue stronger, more connected? We don't want to wait for a fall, or maybe it must happen. No, that doesn't need to be. It's not that I divide in advance my day, where half of it is an ascent, another half is an ascent from something else. No, we always think only about the ascents, but we understand that between them there will also come descents, will also come to us, and that's how we progress. Thank you. Yes. 31. They ask, will the descent always be accompanied by an intolerable sensation? So he continues asking, can we reach a state where we're happy? In the descent, I don't think that we can be happy, but we can hold ourselves in a state where we understand the necessity of that, and that we try in the state of descent to elevate ourselves to connection with the Creator. From PD6 Women. What helps a person emerge from the descent the most that can be is connection with friends, where each one holds the other, and in such a way, together, we start rising. From PD31. He asks, how can the 10 help one go through the states of descent quicker? Only through that in which we work together. How can a person make an effort while being in a state of descent? During a state of descent where we feel the descent, we can begin discussing a sense, and we understand that that is what we lack, as much as we can depict to ourselves the state of ascent more and more. So according to that, we can exit the descent and enter into an ascent, which from Latin 26 is asking what questions help us, what questions addressed to the Creator help us emerge from a descent and advance to the next state. Actions of connection. Thank you. There are situations where you see that you're growing more distant, you see yourself growing more distant, descending, but also you don't have the power to ask to get closer. So what do you do in those states? A practical state is that we feel that we are in a descent and that we can no longer tolerate it. So from that state we start crying to the Creator help us, and then we become rewarded with an ascent. And when you don't have the power to even cry for help, you see that you're falling down, you're descending, but you don't have the power to ask. So you have a group. Without a group, a person is lost. Where's the group here at that moment? It's not in a person's feeling. A person has no feeling of the group. It's as if everything is dead. And that's how it is. The judge only has, he judge according to his flaws. And how does the group help me at that moment? The group needs to make research anew each time about each and every friend. What state does he appear to be in? And from that they sometimes discuss, not in his presence, how to relate to him. Sometimes it's on the contrary, precisely in his presence they speak, and as such at the end of it all they come closer together. How can a person find within himself the power to ascend? Only from that in which he feels that if he will not replace the direction of his spiritual state, so then he's lost. Therefore, he asks the Creator to help him and to save him. Thank you. Yes, I heard you. Answering, he asked you regarding raising new sparks, and you said that these are the records that need to be resolved. Yes. How to resolve them? What is the action? How to actualize these records? Person needs to see what state he really is in relation to what there was in relation to the Creator, in relation to what the Creator presents before him, and accordingly he sees that he has opportunity before him to rise to a tier, and thus he comes closer to a prayer. The records, is that a feeling of the shattering that I need to attach back to the Creator? You can say yes. Okay. Not precise, but okay. So it's individual. Each one feels this reality differently of the records that awaken within him, that are revealed. So what do I need to do in that when I feel if it's a descent? Or the best stage is that you open your heart to the Creator, ask from him to elevate you, to show you the path of coming closer. Okay. So the reality that awakens in me, these records that awaken within me, you say, that I need to ask the Creator to show me the path by which to get close to him. Okay. So my question is what to ask, for with respect to the state that I feel, it is according to what you discover, according to what you discover in new records. And if there's something that keeps repeating, it doesn't matter, it returns. It's still not enough. You still haven't brought the Creator enough of your decisions. All right. Thank you. No. Well, when a person depicts for himself a state of incent, what exactly should he depict? At once it was clear to him where he was, that he was in a certain connection with the Creator, and he thought that he is no more sense. Before him, only a sense. And now he sees that that's not the case. But you said to depict the state, Arvin. Assent. What you just explained is that I look at my past and my current state. So I'm asking a person in a descent, what does it mean that he's depicting an ascent? What is he drawing before him? He draws that he is in a connection with the Creator, and he understands the Creator's actions on him, that the Creator wants to bring him closer, and that it is what is before him, this opportunity. What exactly does it mean to depict a connection with the Creator? What are you depicting for yourself, seemingly? Then he starts depicting to himself the extent to which in thought, speech and action, what he discovers in the Creator is what he will have. When a person is in a state of a descent, how does he still hold on to some kind of awakening and doesn't completely hide? That's what he has friends for a group. So the state of the ascent the group depicts for him, or does it have to come from his own exertion to depict that state of ascent? That doesn't matter. So, how can he rise? How do you rise? You rise, or the group raises you? The group, the Creator, me, myself, what does it matter? The main thing is that I demand a change. The state. I demand more closeness with the Creator. Last question. A person closer to the Creator, what changes in a person that comes closer to the Creator, and what does he change? That in thought and in desire he is more similar to the Creator, which means that he's not opposite to similarity, but he is similar. But in what are you similar? How is it expressed being similar to the Creator? It is that I feel his actions as all being, as all acting on this group that I belong to, in order to bring them closer to correction. Thank you. Yes. He writes that a person has to start from new, and not that it shouldn't be sufficient the faith he had yesterday, that he needs to accept a new phase. Why not to agree with what we had yesterday? That was yesterday, meaning time has passed. Everything has inverted. A new day starts. He has a new record, a new Rishimo, and he's a new person. But if he takes a new discernment, then now he feels the Creator sent him a new state. Yes, if he takes it, so there's disconnections from the Creator there, darkness, distance. Why should he turn there? Why not to prefer the attention he already had? I don't understand. The Creator awakens a person with new states, new records. Yes, if a person chooses to work with them, so he necessarily enters darkness. Why? Because usually it's the Creator. Sense thoughts of himself shows him that he's far from the friends, far from their group. He has to start working with it. That's the work. He has to renew his connection. But if he starts working in it, he enters some darkness. He disconnects from the Creator. He enters the work. But he also has states where he remembered the connection. He did have those points of attention, and he can hold on to them. I'm asking what to prefer. I don't really understand that state. He needs to ask the Creator to give him understanding and strength to correctly change his state, to ask for the change of his state. For from the Creator, sometimes there's a feeling that if we go into a difficult place, it's the ego pushing you to those places when you can actually go to places that are easier to work in. You need to measure what is closer to you. What does that mean? What forces can now bring you closer to the Creator? Thank you, Ken. Yes, Good morning. Rav Rabish writes about the vacant space. What is this vacant space? The vacant space is that a person feels that he is in such an atmosphere that there is a force there, but it's a force that lacks direction, that it lacks a program, a plan. So a person does not know how exactly he can progress onward. It sounds like this is the place for our work. That is also a place for work. Yes. Vacant space come from? Was it already created when the Creator created the worlds? Who does this? Vacant space come from? The vacant space comes from our will to receive that fields itself disconnected from the Creator. No one fills it. That is called the vacant space. So we hear from you. We have different kinds of orientation in this vacant space. We have the Rashim, we have the friends, we have the Ras. We have certain conditions in this vacant space. What is our compass to orient ourselves in every situation? The friends, the group that I need to be connected with, them and that. We scrutinize how we can further progress from that point until the purpose of creation. Hands give me the orientation how to keep moving in this space can. Yes, thank you about what mentioned about that vacant space. He says that a person fills that space with a kingdom, the heaven, and it says that he has now scrutinized something new. Our main work is scrutiny, that action of scrutinizing. So I wanted to ask, when is it called that a person scrutinizes and not in thinking about things, but it doesn't feel like an actual scrutiny? It sounds like something much stronger. What is a scrutiny? Scrutiny is that I scrutinize between two or more options. What is what suits me? And what am I scrutinizing? What should a person scrutinize or inquire? That is what you need to scrutinize. Out of all the options before you, through the implementation of what possibility do you reach your goal? So I need to put, when I enter a scrutiny, I have to have a goal before me to remember it. So how do you enter a scrutiny without that? So if I'm thinking of certain things, the Creator, the friends, but it's a thought, so that's not called a scrutiny, right? That you are in a few different thoughts and you want to scrutinize between them with what thought? You go to the goal. That is called a scrutiny. In every scrutiny something new comes out. Innovation comes out of every scrutiny. Yes, their actions also. Yossi mentioned that we repeat them. It's like a routine. They were going to meet every 10. They have their Zoom meetings. How to extract from every action that we do together an innovation. How do you find that innovation? And I just put a check mark that we did an action. It is through that in which we scrutinize what is before us and we check, we point to, and we do something with that. Yeh advice how to scrutinize, how to enter a scrutiny. How to scrutinize is simple. It's not simple, but it's clear what we need to do. We need, as if we're having some kind of election. Here, how many hands are up and how many are down, and according to that we scrutinize. Convention is a scrutiny. Something new comes out of it. Congress is a place for scrutiny. Even before the Congress we receive some material. Afterward we ask and discuss it, and through that what is before you becomes clearer, right? You also recognize to read and repeat things. Now sometimes I find myself that I read. Okay, I go over the text. There's not always an innovation. There's not always something that, as if I didn't read, but during the reading I went through a scrutiny. Is there a difference between like reading or reading with a scrutiny? Seemingly yes, that is clear to us from our lives. It's desire to reach a scrutiny, right? And not just read. Yes, the path is as from a sense and a sense. And the quicker the descent change to a sense that way a person advances quicker. So what's the benefit from having ups and downs, whether they're a lot or from the scrutinies within those? Sense the sense earlier, we used the word to weigh. So where's the benefit in the scrutiny or the fact that there are ups and downs? We need to still scrutinize that, even in a sense and a sense themselves without the outcomes of that. We are from that an accumulation of states, forces from which we construct our path, how we later execute the action at the end. Therefore, it is hard to say about that. Now, thank you. When we say the sent or sent, in relation to coming closer to the Creator, it could be that we're defining it completely opposite. Let's say, yesterday or in the Congress I felt good. We sang, we danced, we ate. Today, only a yearning to the Creator is left. Not anything else. As if it was there. We talked about Him. We felt Him. And suddenly, today only the yearning is left. Maybe that's the ascent. We say those who long to the day of the Creator that it's darkness and not night we might be exchanging it. I'm asking. I cannot answer that now. Would you want me to read another excerpt? Yes. Number 3. Any overcoming in the work is called walking in the work of the Creator, since each penny joins into a great amount. That is all the times we overcome, accumulate to a certain measure required to become a vessel for the reception of their abundance. Overcoming means taking a part of a vessel of reception and adding it to the vessels. The is dough. It is like a screen which we must place on top of the coarseness. Follows that if one has no will to receive, one has nothing on which to place his screen. For this reason, when the evil inclination brings us foreign thoughts, this is the time to take these thoughts and raise them above reason. This is something one can do with everything one's soul desires. One should not say that now he has received rejection from the work. Rather, he should say that he was given thoughts and desires from above so as to have room to admit them into holiness by there. Any questions in relation to this excerpt? What does it mean? Overcome. Overcoming means that upon all the disturbances one has scrutinizing a spiritual state. One has disturbances, and he overcomes them, and wants to scrutinize the truth. That is the work. Yes. And what force does he overcome? He becomes in the force that he has, and he intends that he will request more from above, that he will gain additional forces or additional strength. And what's the condition that he is given that? The condition that he is given that is that he indeed wants to progress to a scrutiny of those same forces now acting on him. He writes that when the evil inclination brings some foreign thoughts, it's time to take those thoughts and raise them above reason. How do you take a thought and transfer it? How do you what? Do you do here? I don't understand. You discover that you have foreign thoughts which drag you in all kinds of directions. In order to scrutinize them, you need to take some device in your hand through which you scrutinize these thoughts as to whether or not they are correct. Accordingly, you either discard of them, look here, and you come out purer, or you take them, either a few of them, or a part of them, or a few of them, or all of them, and as such you progress. What is this instrument that scrutinizes whether a thought is correct or not? That is your scrutinies. According to what do I weigh every thought? According to what do I weigh every thought? It is according to. This is according to the extent to which I can. That the solution that I found is to an LO above my reason. I don't understand what I do with a foreign thought. A thought comes, I scrutinize it. It's opposite from the Creator. It's foreign. So, it's like something stubborn. How do I take it out of me? That you now know, that you thought you now have is a foreign thought, that you will not be able to reach the purpose with it, so then you do not use it. And if in any case you do take that thought and you continue scrutinizing something through it, that is considered as you building a new state. Does a person have an ability to control his thoughts? As much as that is true or not, that is a question. To take that thought and to use it onward, one can do that. I don't understand what the correct way to use a foreign thought is. After I scrutinize it, I see it's foreign. What do I do with it? If it is scrutinized, so then you're already not inside it. You scrutinized it. It's opposite. But it's still thought that's in me. No, that's not considered that it's been scrutinized. If it's been scrutinized, you can no longer use it. So what is actually the process of the scrutiny that, and chewing it until there's no need for that thought that it disappears? The process of scrutiny is considered you having scrutinized and now confident that on that path you will receive no answer, no realistic answer. What's the matter of above reason here? If you're actually doing a scrutiny about that thought, it's like you neutralize it. So, what's an action to go above reason? What does the above reason have to do with it? It sounds like it's all in reason. Yes, it's not clear. Unscrew. Where do you scrutinize? Where does the action of scrutiny happen in reason? You have nothing other than that. So why should I go above reason? I'm scrutinizing. I understand I don't need this foreign thought. It's all me doing. Yes, so what is above reason? That it is in an opposite form to reason. So there's no nothing here. There's no need to go above reason because they scrutinize everything in reason and to complete control in my thought. Yes, so what is above reason? What does it mean to take a foreign thought and rise above reason? That you take a thought that is foreign to you, that you elevate it higher than all of your thoughts and then you use it as if it is dead, as if it is true. Emmet, true there are thoughts that I can, myself, overcome for myself or with the environment from the experience, but I don't need help from the Creator here, and sometimes there's thoughts that come and I say wait a minute, maybe it's worth using this foreign thought and somehow bring the Creator in here, because if not that it's just another thing I did on my own. Yes, how to do it? To let the thought take over me to go even more into the descent? That's not clear. How to reach a state that I need the help of the Creator. If you, with this new thought, can scrutinize the state, so that is considered you being within reason, in order to scrutinize something above reason, you need to receive. But you need to receive upon yourself a condition that above reason is more important to you than within reason. And let's say that I'm willing to accept that above reason is more important. Yes, how does it bring me to work with this thought now? Because I know that I can overcome the thought, let's say, but I don't want to overcome on my own. I want above reason, not in reason. So, what should I do for it to really be above reason? You need, in your scrutiny, to understand what is within reason and what is above reason. These two levels, scrutinize those two levels, and then should be clear to you why you take a decision that is above your reason. So in every state, even if it's very clear or the opposite, the more it's clear there's more of an opportunity. The above reason will be more important, it's more correct, yes. Okay, we have finished the hour, that's what they're telling me. What do we do next? Next we will summarize what we heard till now, and then we'll continue. Okay, so friends, workshop in the tense. Let's summarize what we heard and felt in the lesson till now. Okay, we always discussed about the state after the Congress, the feeling, the Descent, where we need to receive those descents in order to feel that we are in an ascent, and we need to relate as much as possible as quickly as possible to that state of the descent and flip it to a state of ascent in order to come to more awareness of there is none else besides him. Yeah. We open the lesson, if not for me. Who is for me, with a very deep explanation from how to work with that question, that who is for me is the creator. Then it's a process that we really have to ask myself, if not for me, who is for me, and do actions in that direction by our efforts that we want to understand who we're working for, and how do I turn to them. I have to think, what if none else for me, who is for me is who is for me, there's who else is there in reality. That's what's said from that we work. That's why from our own heart we search and we hope to reach an answer. And said the answer is always revelation of the Creator. There's no other true answer unless it's revelation of their Creator, and if not for me, who is for me? That's already after I succeeded in somewhat to work towards Him, and only afterwards we have explained it as going out into the battlefield with the Creator. Then we could say that from this battle that there's none else besides Him, and He's doing everything also towards the connection. He said it's a question that really pushes us face to face to connection to the others that are also searching for this answer to that question. I feel that the Congress is continuing, that it hasn't stopped for a moment. It was a very deep emotional lesson with many discernments, and we are trying it. Just shows I'm full of questions relating to, if I'm not for me, who is for me, and there is none else besides Him. Where is that in relation to ascents and descents, and also the role of the Society of the 10, where only there is it possible to increase, accelerate these states. Creator cannot give a person to go through these states if he doesn't have the correct society and environment to help him through that, otherwise it'll just break him. So I still feel it is very deep and emotional. Crazy. There was an interesting scrutiny. To scrutinize what a scrutiny is, what a foreign thought is, what above reason is. Well, nothing got clarified in me. Maybe you were able to. So help me. Scrutinize. I heard that a descent is distance from the Creator, and an ascent is closeness with the Creator. I heard that a person who is in a descent, his annulment and incorporation in the society can help his ascent back to the Creator. It was also interesting in relation to the foreign thought that until we scrutinize, in meaning that you cannot have a foreign thought if you've already scrutinized it. So I had this thought that it's foreign to the goal, but if I use it in order to understand how I can come closer to the Creator and what I can do with it. So then from the moment I used it in this scrutiny, so then it's no longer foreign. Something like that. That's a thought that I had. Now that you spoke, it became clarified in me. We talked about renewing the connection during the descents, that actually the action of innovation is that you start thinking how connection with a Creator can be in a current state. There was advice by love to have a discussion about every friend in the group and see where he needs help in his presence and not in his presence or in Rav's words. The group has to perform a research on every friend, in what state do they think he's in, and then sometimes they can speak in his presence how to relate to him, and sometimes the opposite when he's not present, to try and think what to do with. And that will bring us closer as friends. Said the group, the Creator, me, myself. What is that important? The main thing is that I'm demanding to be closer to the Creator's on the way to Chicago now. He's returning. Summary: everything we should do is to relate everything to an ascent and draw closer to Him. And Daniel writes, to us without a group the person is nothing. The person needs at every moment to turn to the friends. And I heard that the person always needs to measure his state in relation to sense and descents, and to exert at every moment to come closer to the Creator. And this Measuring the scrutiny that a person does, he needs to do it all the time, precisely from the state of descent in the direction of an ascent that goes to a descent and raises. A prayer is something very beneficial. Yes, in relation to descent's much strengthened points where a person comes to connection with the Creator, and the descent helps that in the state of descent. A person cannot in any case come closer to the Creator who disappeared, and a person can gather all his empty vessels and start requesting, praying and returning to connection. Specifically after the Congress, he told us that we need to continue more actions, just not to fall, just to continue more actions toward the Creator. The person needs to measure each and every ascent and ascent so that they will all be in this return path to the Creator. And in general, there were questions about what to think about, what to expect in the descent or not. We always think only about the ascents, but we understand that between them there will be descents, and that's how we progress, friends. We will now read again the excerpts from that we went through with. Now let's take all the discernments we collected from and try and open ourselves as words, and they will form at us from inside. Number 2 says, in every beginning a person must start over acceptance of the kingdom of heaven. It is not enough that yesterday he had faith in the Creator. For this reason, every acceptance of the kingdom of heaven is considered a new discernment. That is, now he receives a part of the vacant space that was devoid of the kingdom of heaven and admits that empty place and fills it with the kingdom of heaven. He follows it. Now he sorted out a new thing which did not exist before. He took that empty place and filled it with the kingdom of heaven. This is regarded as elevating a new spark into their holiness. Finally, from all the ascents he always raises sparks. We find that from every descent he comes to a new beginning and raises new sparks. Again, number 2 by these, let's try to implement this and pray to get forces to do this right now. In every beginning a person must start over the acceptance of the kingdom of heaven. It is not enough that yesterday he had faith in the Creator. For this reason, every acceptance of the kingdom of heaven is considered a new discernment. That is, now he receives a part of the vacant space that was devoid of the kingdom of heaven and admits that empty place and fills it with the kingdom of heaven. It follows that now he sorted out a new thing which did not exist before. He took that empty place and filled it with the kingdom of heaven. This is regarded as elevating a new spark into the holiness. Finally, from all the ascents he always raises sparks from the vacant place into holiness. We find that from each and every descent he reaches a new beginning and raises new sparks. Number 3 by the overcoming in the work is called walking in the work of the Creator. So each penny joins into a great amount. That is all the times we overcome accumulate to a certain measure required to become a K for the reception of their abundance. Overcoming means taking a part of a vessel of reception and adding it to the vessels of bestow. It is like the screen which we must place on the coarseness. It follows that if one has no will to receive, one has nothing on which to place a screen. For this reason, when the evil inclination brings us foreign thoughts, this is the time to take these thoughts and raise them above reason. This is something one can do with everything one's soul desires. He should not say that now he has received rejection from the world. Rather, he should say that he was given thoughts and desires from above so as to have room to admit them into holiness. Again, number 3, and the overcoming in the work is called walking in the work of the Creator. Since each penny joins into a great amount, that is all the times we overcome accumulate to a certain measure required to become for the reception of their abundance. Overcoming means taking a part of our vessel of reception and adding it into the vessels of bestow. It is like the screen which we must place on the coarseness. It follows that if one has no will to receive, one has nothing on which to place a screen. For this reason, when the evil inclination brings us foreign thoughts, this is the time to take these thoughts and raise them above reason. This is something one can do with everything one's soul desires. He should not say that now he has received rejection from the work. Rather, he should say that he was given thoughts and desires from above so as to have room to admit them into holiness. The whole Torah is one holy name. Let's end with an excerpt from the number 12. Out of the depth I have called for you. I've called you. Anyone who prays his prayer before the Holy King must ask his pleas and pray from the bottom of the heart so that his heart will be holy with the Creator, and he will aim his heart and will as it is written out of the depths I have called you. It is written with all my heart I have sought you. This verse is sufficient to pray with all of one's heart. So why the need? For from the bottom, every person who asks his request of the King must aim his mind and will to the root to extend blessings from the depths of their pit so that blessings will pour from the fountain of all.